what we call high holy days. You understand? And our oppressor, he celebrates all of his victories. You know what I mean? All of his defeats of his oppressors or his enemies. And in turn, us being oppressed by these people, we go and celebrate their holidays, follow after their customs. You understand? But today we're gonna go into some stories where we're gonna show you that it's nothing new for blacks and Hispanics and Native Indians to reject their own culture and choose the culture of our oppressor. You understand? I want you to go to the book of Amos, Baba Shah. I want you to go to the book of Amos, chapter 5, verse 21.
Amos, chapter 5, verse 21. I despise your feast days.
You understand? Now here's the thing that I learned in the Christian church growing up. One thing I learned in the Christian church is that God is all love. Mm-hmm. You understand? God loves everybody. Come as you are. You understand? All the little Christian sayings that ain't nowhere in the Bible.
Right.
You understand? Those are the things that we all learned in the Christian church. You understand? But God says that He hates. You can get everybody else situated first, huh? You understand? God says that He hates and He despises your feast days. Now, what feast days is the Lord talking about right here? You understand? Anybody want to give it a shot? Go ahead.
I despise your feast days, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Halloween, any pagan holiday.
Right. You understand? He hates Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Easter and all these. And who could tell me why He hates those things?
Yeah, because we have the correct holy days, and the heathens have used those days from Esau and all of the oppressor to try to substitute those days for. And then besides that, those days meant torture and killing and murderers. It's Thanksgiving, for instance, just for them to keep. And got our people thinking that we should keep a day that our people actually were slaughtered.
Right. And most importantly, because these days go against the Most High.
That's right.
You understand? These days go against the Most High. Thanksgiving goes against the Most High.
Oh, God.
You understand? And think about it like this. When I was young in the truth, one of the things that was told to me that helped me to wrap my brain around the concept of how the Most High really operates was somebody told me, says, think of the Most High as a gangster. You understand? As a gangster. You understand? When you owe a gangster money, he coming to see about that money. You owe a debt, he coming to see about it. You understand? So the thing is that, the Most High, you understand, he is so many situations where the Most High did certain things in the earth, and He did them in a way to where no man could take the credit for it. You understand? Like when He brought down Egypt. He didn't bring down Egypt by sending an army into Egypt to rip it down. You understand? He brought down Egypt with plagues.
That's right.
You understand? And curses. You understand? And so the thing is Moses couldn't take credit for bringing down Egypt. The children of Israel couldn't take credit for it. You understand? But the Most High became famous in the earth for what He did for the 12 tribes. You understand? So Thanksgiving ain't got nothing to do with the Most High.
That's right.
You understand? Christmas don't have nothing to do with the Most High. You understand? Even and the Christians will tell you that Christmas is all about celebrating the birth of Christ. You understand? But yet in the Bible it tells you that Christ was born around the time of the Passover.
That's right.
The Passover ain't in December or January last time I checked. You understand? I ain't never seen snow at the Passover. Have you out of one?
No.
We ain't seen that. You understand? Read on now.
I despise your feast days, and I will not smell in your solemn assemblies.
You understand? So everybody who sat down at Thanksgiving this past week, you understand? especially in the black household, what's one thing black folks do every year right before they sit down to eat? They sit around the table and hold hands and pray. You understand? Got all type of abominations on the table, and yet they praying to God, thanking God. You understand? But the Lord said He hate your feast days. So when you sit down and you eat Thanksgiving, think about your own children, right? Think about your children. If they do something that goes totally against what you tell them, you understand? The same way you feel about your children being disobedient is the same way the Most High feel about us celebrating Thanksgiving.
That's
You understand? So if you tell your child, go to bed at 8 o'clock, you come back at 9 o'clock, he's still up playing the game, you be like, take your butt to bed.
right.
And then you come back at 10 o'clock and he's still up playing the game, what happens? He get that butt whoop.
That's right.
You understand? He get that butt whoop. So the thing is blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, you understand? We oftentimes wonder, you know, why we go through so much oppression in America. Why are we so destroyed? Why are our parents addicted to drugs? Why are our children going missing? You understand? Why are we victims of sex trafficking and things like that? You understand? The answer to all of those problems is simple. Because we continuously do the things that the Lord hates. And when we continue to do the things that the Lord hates, the Lord is not going to be with us.
Right.
You understand?
Okay.
Read that scripture again.
Verse 21. I despise your feast days.
You understand? And the Lord, he reiterates how he feels about Thanksgiving. He says he hates. Can you imagine if he was speaking that out of his mouth? You understand? Think about it, like when you telling somebody like, man, I really can't stand our oppressor. You understand? It's like when you reiterate that, it emphasizes his feelings towards that. You understand? So how can you sit here and say that you love God, but yet you don't even know what we celebrating right now in the UPK?
That's right.
You don't got no clue. You understand? You got no clue because you yourself hate the Most High.
Yeah.
Just like our oppressors hate the Most High.
That's right.
You understand? America does not love the Most High. How do you know America doesn't love the Most High? Because they give more rights to a homosexual than they do to a black man. You understand? And that's a damn shame. You know, why would you celebrate a country that destroys your people and uplifts abominations? You understand? I want you to drop that up.
Okay.
And I want you to, we just gonna go through the book of Maccabees. You understand? I want you to go into the book of Maccabees. Give me 1 second, Marcus. I want you to go to the book of Maccabees, and they're going to start at verse 1. Chapter 1, verse 1.
Maccabees 1:1.
Yeah. Give me 1 second. Let me catch up with you.
You ready? Okay.
Hold on 1 second. Is that the only apocrypha that we have right here? We got another apocrypha?
Probably one
You mind if I follow along in that? The watch this. Go ahead.
Maccabees 1:1. And it happened after Alexander the son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chetam.
Now, who knows who Alexander is? Anybody ever heard that name before? Go ahead, sis.
Alexander the Greek.
Correct. Alexander the Greek. You understand? That is the reference that's made in this Bible. You understand? In the Apocrypha. You understand? A lot of people say the Bible has no historical references, but yet here in the Bible we're reading about Alexander.
Right.
You understand? And see, here's an interesting fact. This is a fact that a lot of people don't realize, is that historians oftentimes will discover things in different texts and things like that. And when they're trying to figure out when in history these events took place or when these documents were written,
That's right.
they use the Bible as the historical reference to determine those dates and times. You understand? And that's powerful, because that goes to show you that out of all the records in the earth, there are no records that are more accurate than the Bible.
Right.
Right.
You understand? Read on about the show.
And if I could, just real quick to add, what's so heavy about what Officer Nassar said is, like, for example, Asuris, the Persian Empire, that was a real empire. That you outside of the Bible, you can go and see all of the, the documents or all of the research about the Persian Empire, about King Asuris. But you can also go in the Bible and verify that that was a time period that it really existed. So it actually, it validates the Bible. So that's what I wanted to say.
Right. You know, give all one a hand. You know what I mean? That's a heavy point that you brought out. You understand? Because a lot of people go to church every Sunday and still will sit in church. And this is the part that blows my mind. Is they'll go to church, sit in church, pay tithes to their pastor every Sunday, and then have the nerve to sit here and say, well, I don't believe in the whole Bible. And, some of them stories is made up or it's written by man. Like, of course it's written by man, but guess what? The Constitution was written by man, but
Right.
yet you still follow them laws.
Right.
You understand? You still have the audacity to sit in front of the police and talk about your rights. You understand? But yet you think the Bible is a comic book. You understand? When the Bible is the most real records on the planet. You understand?
That's
and
right.
And nobody on the earth understands it the way the men in the ISUPK understand.
Right.
You understand? Read on.
And it happened after Alexander the son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chetam, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and the Medes. And he reigned in his stead for the first over Greece.
You understand? Which is where it gets the name Alexander the Greek. You understand? The reason why Esau calls him Alexander the Great is because he was the first one. He was the first person to unite all of the tribes of Edom into one empire. You understand? Into one empire. Now, granted, it all fractured and splintered off once he died. You understand? But that's why they call him Alexander the Great. It's because he was the first to unite all the tribes of Edom. You understand? And overthrow their oppressors. You understand? Read on.
And made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings of the earth.
You understand? Alexander the Greek was a monster. You understand? He was a monster on the earth.
Right.
You understand? He was a monster. He was a homosexual. He was wasn't he sleeping with his mama? And he was doing all type of madness. You understand? But yet Esau called him the Great. You understand? Go ahead, Op.
It's like I was just gonna say that's so heavy with that scripture. It's no different than there's no different now than how America is. They make many wars and they defeat many kings upon this earth.
Right.
No different than their homosexual father, Alexander the Greek.
Right. You understand? And guess what? They no different than Cain.
That's right.
You understand? They no different than Esau himself. You understand?
Exactly. If I could,
Go ahead.
if you want to like accurately see a depiction of how they was in that time period, you just watch that movie I don't know if y'all familiar with that movie back in the day, Gladiators.
Right.
Yeah, and you saw how the king or whatever he was, you saw how his behavior was. He was even in love with his sister, which is like something that's just notorious amongst the behavior of Edomites. They just really into that incest real bad too. So
Right.
yeah.
Right. And to go a little bit further, you know, that picture that we walk on in the bathroom. You know, we make sure we wipe our feet real good on that mat, and there's an image of Caesar Borgia. You understand? Caesar Borgia, his father was Pope Alexander, was it the second? Alexander the Sixth. Pope Alexander the Sixth. And Alexander the Sixth was a pedophile, a homosexual, a murderer. You understand? He got his own daughter pregnant. You understand? He got his own daughter pregnant. And this is the crazy part. His son was painted as Jesus Christ by his son's homosexual lover, and his son was in love with his own sister, with the same girl that his father. It sounds so confusing even trying to describe it. But the father got his daughter pregnant, and his son was in love with the same daughter that he got pregnant.
Right.
And they was brothers and sisters. In fact, the Caesar Borgia killed his older brother. You understand? For his sisters. It's crazy. You understand? Murdered his own brother over his sister, who was pregnant by his daddy. That's crazy. That's like Atlanta Housewives type stuff right there. You understand? Read on, man.
And made many wars, and won many strongholds, and slew the kings of the earth,
Go ahead.
and went through the ends of the earth, and took spoils of many nations, so much that the earth was quiet before him.
Read that again.
And went through the ends of the earth, and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him.
You understand? That's heavy the way it's describing this. It said that Alexander the Greek he waged so much war on the earth that the earth was quiet before him. You understand? Can you imagine that? You understand? Can you imagine? Because there was slaughter going on in the earth before Alexander the Greek.
That's right.
You understand? But Alexander the Greek slaughtered so many people that it was nothing in comparison. It was like the earth was sleeping, chilling, and relaxed before him.
Right.
You understand? That's how much destruction he brought on this earth. Go ahead, Doc.
So like I was just gonna say, that's like America when they dropped that atomic bomb. Everybody was quiet.
Right.
The whole earth.
Shut the whole war down. You understand? Ended the war. You understand? It started the Cold War. You understand? That's how crazy. That. You know what I mean? Think about it. Like I don't think anybody has impacted the earth like Alexander the Greek, other than America. I don't think there is an empire that even compares to it. You understand? Read on.
Come sir.
I know you're trying to grub.
No, come, I got it. Verse 4. Slack, sir. Yet the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he was exalted, and his heart was lifted up.
You understand? It says, whereupon he was exalted. You understand? And his heart was lifted up. Alexander the Greek was exalted so much that he's known in history as Alexander the Great.
Right.
You understand? They got so many statues of this devil. You understand? They done made movies about him, glorifying him like he was just the greatest warrior to walk the earth. You understand? Meanwhile, he was a filthy and disgusting murderers.
That's right.
Murderer, homosexual, incestuous bastard. You understand? Read on.
And verse 4. And he gathered a mighty strong host, and ruled over countries and nations and kings, who became tributaries unto him.
You understand? So this is talking about the rise of his empire. You understand? The rise of his empire. You understand? Kings and nations and other empires were subservient to Alexander.
Right.
You understand? And this is how he built the massive power that the Greeks had. You understand? Because at the time when the Greeks ruled the earth, they were the most powerful country or empire on the planet. You understand? There was not many forces that could come up against this empire. You understand? So the Lord, you know, the Bible, these scriptures are going into to paint the picture of how powerful the Greeks were. You understand? This is showing you their rise to power. You understand? And it's important, you understand, that all of this stuff is written in the Bible because it's going to make it significant when we discuss Hanukkah. Read on.
And after these, verse 5, and after these things he felt sick and perceived that he should die.
Now, Salaki, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Alexander the Great, what he called syphilis? Yeah, was it syphilis?
Either it was some type of sexual transmitted.
Yeah, it was some type of sexual transmitted disease that he contracted. I think it was syphilis. Go ahead. Yeah, I think it was syphilis. Go ahead.
And Satan Bourget died from the same thing.
Right, right.
And Salagi said that he might have just been reincarnated Satan Bourget.
Hey.
But the thing, I'm pretty sure everybody knows where syphilis comes from.
Right.
It comes from having sex with animals.
Right, right. You understand? And then it just spread like wildfire, you know, especially amongst Esau because he's a shameless bastard. Go ahead.
So like the Greeks had this thing where they were famous for having sex with sheep.
Good night.
Like it was a practice, like they would have the sheep horns on with the little, like they would kind of dress like a sheep to have sex with the sheep.
Good night. They trying to make you off of me.
So like they was just like a sheep to reduce sheep.
They trying to make a
Wolves
off
and
of me.
sheep clothing.
Go ahead, Doc. What you got something
So
to
like
add?
in the world, they say that's the closest thing to a natural woman's box.
Damn. Man, I don't even want to even think about no animal box. Animal box.
Esau is horrible out of the way. I mean, you mean to tell me that the closest thing we can get to a sister is a sheep?
Good night. Why would you want an animal over a woman? Like what kind of sick mind you got to have to look at that animal and be like, I sure would like a piece of that.
It's like if I could, that just goes to show that Esau is truly the beast of the field, like the Bible describes.
Right. Get him in the hand for that. You understand? Our oppressor has proven all through history that he is a filthy animal.
Yeah,
You
right.
understand? He's a filthy animal. You understand? When you read in, I believe the book is called The 13th Tribe. It goes into the what's the word I'm looking for? I guess the daily culture of Edomites, and how they would go months without bathing. You understand? And if you read in the Bible, in the law, statutes, and commandments, there's so many instances where you would have to bathe yourself. You understand? The scriptures will say, when you do something unclean, you wash yourself with water and you're unclean to the evening, right?
Right.
That's basically taking a bath. Wash your funky behind. You understand? But Esau, it's not even in his culture to bathe. Want to know how you know? Because think about back during, I guess what would they call these times, like the Wild West days,
Dark age.
and things like that. Well, I'm talking about like even
Like
like in
Victoria.
America,
Oh, you talking about
like during like prior to the Civil War,
Yeah.
when you had the cowboys and the Gadites was going to war and things like that. A lot of these men would go months without bathing,
Wow.
and then they would go to, I guess, like a bathhouse, and they would sit in the bath. You know how you see the movies where they would sit in a bucket of water,
Mm.
and they would sit there and they would bathe themselves and things like that. They would do that like not frequent, like maybe once a month. You understand? When they done got too funky for them to even bear, they got to stop by the bathhouse. Go ahead.
Let's look if I could. And it was so bad. It was for so long that they didn't take the baths that when they actually took the bath, it made them sick.
Right. That's crazy. Yeah, it's insane. That it's like they washed away their protection. Like I think D.L. Hughley said he had a quote on a radio show one time. He's like the filthy. He said the nasty don't get sick. Well, guess what? Esau was the man that did not get sick from being disgusted. You understand? And in that book, The 13th Tribe, you know, one of the things that they used to do is they used to pick lice out of their hair and their beards. And they used to eat the lice.
Oh.
You understand? They used to eat the lice. You understand? Go ahead.
That's what monkeys do.
Right. Right. That's what monkeys do. You understand? like you know that, and you know what? Hey, they do believe that they came from monkeys. You know, they got a lot in common with the monkeys. You understand? You know what I mean? Go ahead.
I think they made up the term "I'll be a monkey's uncle."
They had to, because I know Jake ain't come up with nothing like that. I'd be a monkey's uncle. You right. You know what I mean? They crawled around on all fours and slept in rock and holes and rocks, just like animals. You understand? Read on.
Verse 6. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable, and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them, while he was yet alive.
You understand? And I remember this vividly in this movie called Alexander. Towards the end of the movie, he was dying. You understand? And he split his kingdom up. You understand? If I'm not mistaken, I believe he split his kingdom into 4 parts. You had like the Germanic Empire, the Athenian Empire or the Greek Empire. I can't remember the 4 empires that he split his kingdom up into, but he divided his kingdom up amongst his men. You understand? Read on.
So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died. Verse 8. And his servants bare rule, every one in his place. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after many years. And evils were multiplied in the earth.
And what?
Evils were multiplied in the earth.
You understand? So this is giving you, a full breakdown of the rise of the Greek Empire. You understand? It said that the evils multiplied in the earth. You understand? Evils that multiplied in the earth was like murder, extortion, homosexuality, bestiality. You understand? All of these things began to multiply in the earth.
That's right.
You understand? Read on.
And verse 10. And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been an hostage at Rome. And he reigned in the 130 and he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks.
Go ahead. Read on.
In those days went there out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from, we have had much sorrow.
You understand? That right there is describing every Christian pastor, every Muslim, whatever they call themselves, like what is Farrakhan, minister, whatever the hell they call themselves. Every Egyptologist,
Right.
every person that every brother or sister in America that believes that we need to join our oppressor.
Right.
You understand that we need to join these other nations. You understand that we need to follow after some foreign god that ain't never had nothing to do with us. You understand? That it said, read that scripture again.
And there came out of them a wicked root.
Verse
And-
11. Verse 11 about the show.
Oh, verse 11. In those days went out of Israel
Out of-
wicked men.
Out of where?
Wicked out of Israel.
Out of Israel. You understand? There were wicked men who came up out of Israel. You understand? Who said, let us go make a covenant with these other nations. So with Martin Luther King, would he be considered one of these wicked men?
Right.
Of course he would.
Oh, God.
Because what did he want to do? He wanted to make a covenant with the heathens that were round about us.
That's right.
You understand? What about Al Sharpton? He wanted to make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us.
That's right.
Go ahead, Doc.
So like, so it's so heavy you said Al Sharpton because last week with the Ahmaud Arbery case,
Mm-hmm.
he was up there telling black people, what did he say? He said, we should thank God and we should be thankful on Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
And he was holding hands with the devil who was supposed to be the lawyer for Ahmaud Arbery. And he was just another example of a wicked man who went out of Israel and persuaded many.
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to bet you that there was some brothers out here saying, man, I ain't celebrating Thanksgiving this year. Then they seen Al Sharpton get his little
Mm-hmm.
AIDS-ridden looking self up there on TV talking about we should be thankful on Thanksgiving and decided, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and do it for my people.
Man,
You understand? These are the wicked men who persuade us to join the other nations.
Oh, God.
You understand? And guess what? You know, it trickles on down even to any brother or sister who work in a military recruiting office.
right.
Guess what? You that wicked man
Right.
who are persuading many to make a covenant with the heathens that are round about. Meanwhile, these same heathens is killing us down in the street and getting found not guilty. You understand? Read on.
Wicked men and persuaded men, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we had much sorrow. So this device pleased them well.
You understand? It says, for this device pleased them well. You understand? It pleased them well because they love the other nations.
Wow.
They looked at what the Greeks had going on and said, man, all them white women, all them animals that they sleeping with, all the dope they smoking. You understand? They got so much power and might and freedom to do whatever they want to do. And guess what? They eating bacon over there. That bacon smell good. I want some of that bacon. They playing basketball and soccer and wrestling. I want some of that. You understand? Go ahead.
Verse 13. Then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen.
Read that again.
Bible concept. Then certain of the people were so forward herein, that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen.
You understand? It says in forward thinking of them
Wow.
went to the king and actually got license to follow after the other nations.
Wow.
They got approval to do it. You understand? Read on.
That's, sir,
Go ahead.
that's like the wicked pastor when he go out and get his little fake license.
Right.
The same thing. It's no
Right.
different.
Right.
And the Edomite give them a license to preach.
Right. Right. And teach them the Bible. They teach them the Bible the same way they taught Nat Turner and all the other pastors during slavery that kept black people locked in chains.
Right.
You understand? Guess what? Those were the same type of brothers who was given license, you understand, to do these things. Go ahead, Op.
I would say, so you can tie that in now to when Barack Obama was in that. Black pastors was going to these devils to get licenses to marry homosexuals.
Right.
Dang.
Right. You understand? That's real heavy right there. You understand? Read on.
Verse 14. Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem, according to the customs of the heathen.
Read that part again.
Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem, according to the customs of the heathen.
So another word for a place of exercise would be gymnasium. You understand? Who knows what the word gymnasium means? Go ahead.
It's like the YMCA or like goes to.
Yep, that's kind of like what it is. You understand? But what I'm looking for is like the meaning of the word gymnasium. Does anybody know? Anybody want to take a shot at it? Go ahead.
A place of exercise, like
Nope. Go ahead.
a place of practice.
Nope. Anybody want to take another shot? All right. So gymnasium means house of nakedness. House of nakedness. You want to know why it's called that? Because during those times, during the Greek times, when they would exercise and they would play sports, they would do so naked. Butt, booty, ball, naked. Go ahead, Mark.
In some cases, they call it the school of nakedness. as well.
School of nakedness. Right. They did. They damn sure did. You understand? That's why in sports, even today, you know, cats ain't out there in sweatpants and hoodies playing basketball. You understand? They used to wear the little short shorts that look like Daisy Dukes and the real tight t-shirt because it was the closest thing to naked they could have, you understand, without pushing the line, without having Johnsons and balls swinging all over the place. You understand? So that's why when you watch like things like Greco-Roman wrestling in the Olympics, that's why they wore the skin tight outfits, the little onesies. You know what I mean? That's why they would wear those things because, you know what I mean? Because it was to simulate the nakedness that they would you know, basically be, you know, have during these times when they would be in these gymnasiums doing this exercise and things like that. If you look at like when the Olympics, like I think Mardaki, is there any way you can pull up for everybody like one of them Olympic statues where the statue is naked, you know, find a decent, you know, PG-13.
One with the little leash in the middle of it.
You know what I mean? But you know, they used to run track. You know, they used to run track, throw the javelin, throw the shot put, and all these things, and they would do so completely naked. You understand? Go ahead and read on while he's pulling that up, Barbershop.
Verse 15. And made themselves uncircumcised and forsook the holy covenant and joined themselves to the heathen and were sold to do mischief.
You understand? That right there is why anyone would want to join the other nations.
Wow.
You understand? You don't want to join the other nations to go be righteous with the other nations.
Right.
You understand? Martin Luther King ain't want to join America to be an upstanding citizen. You understand? He wanted to join the other nations so he could sleep with all the white women he wanted without getting hung from a tree for it.
That's right.
That's what he wanted. You know, he was already sleeping with them on the low, busting them across the head, sending them back to their pimps with swollen lips and black eyes.
Right.
You understand? Martin Luther King was already getting down and dirty. You understand? So that's why anybody would want to love the other nations. You want to love the white man. Why you want to join the heathens? Because you want to be like the heathens, or you want to, you know what I mean? Like there was I think who was it? The CDC that did a study, or somebody did a study where they was talking about homosexuality. And one of the things that they said in this study was that someone who is, I guess, if you're the type of person that will approve of someone being homosexual, it's more likely that you yourself would become a homosexual or commit homosexual acts. You understand? So if you follow that concept, it's like clearly the Greeks was homosexual.
Right.
You understand? So any brother or sister that was looking at the Greeks like, man, let's go get down with the Greeks, everybody should have looked at them suspect. Because they got the naked house.
Right.
They run around butt naked wrestling. You understand? I don't want no parts of that. You understand? Read on out. Matter of fact, read that scripture again.
Verse 15. They made themselves uncircumcised.
You understand? What does that mean? They made themselves uncircumcised. Go ahead.
They make themselves pretty much unclean, the Israel was circumcised up to identify that they were following the covenants.
Mhm.
So they were made themselves not follow the covenants. Pretty much.
Correct. You understand? They you know, and expounds upon it, says, and they forsook the holy covenant. You understand? They turned their back on it.
Mm.
They turned their back on what their forefathers stood for. You understand? They turned their back on their culture, on their brothers, on their sisters. You understand? So Martin Luther King and every man that followed after him, guess what they did? They made themselves uncircumcised, and they forsook the holy covenant. You understand? Read on.
At verse 16. Now when the kingdom was established before Antiochus, he thought to reign over Egypt, and he might have dominion of 2 realms.
Go ahead.
Verse 17. Wherein he entered into Egypt with a great multitude, with chariots, elephants, horsemen, a great navy. Verse 18. And made wars against Ptolemy, king of Egypt.
Go ahead.
But Ptolemy was afraid of him and fled, and many were wounded to death.
You understand? Now listen to this, man. For every Egyptologist out here talking about Egypt and Africa and all this and that, man, listen, man. They leader left them to die, man. You understand? Is that what you want to claim? You understand? They leader left them to die. You understand? That I don't want no parts of nobody like that. You understand? Why would I want to follow after a culture of cowards?
Right.
You understand? Read on.
Verse 19. Thus they got the strong cities in the land of Egypt, and he took the spoils thereof.
You understand? So they took Egypt, and guess what? They took all the gold out of Egypt, all the silver, all the copper, all the riches. You understand? They took all the little knickknacks. You understand? Read on.
Verse 20. And after Antiochus had smitten Egypt, he returned again into 130 year, and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude.
You understand? You read that part again.
And after that Antiochus had smitten Egypt, he returned again in the 143rd year, and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude.
You understand? So this same evil bastard just went and ransacked Egypt, took all the riches out of Egypt. You understand? Then turned to Jerusalem. You understand? Just turn to Jerusalem. You understand? Now keep this in mind. This is after there were wicked men in Jerusalem, in Israel, who wanted to join Esau.
Right.
You understand? So guess what? Even after Martin Luther King went and tried to join Esau, guess what's happening to us? We still getting slaughtered in the street.
Right.
You understand? Because whatever justification in your mind you think by joining the other nations is gonna be better for anybody, nah, man, you just chasing after your lust that the heathens allow you to fulfill all day, all you want to. You understand? Because it ain't gonna save nobody's life. Martin Luther King didn't save nobody. He couldn't even save his own damn life.
Right.
You understand? Read on.
Verse 21. And entered proudly into the sanctuary, and took away the golden altar and the candlesticks of light and all the vessels thereof.
You understand? That's what this evil bastard did.
Wow.
they came up in the temple and took all of our stuff out of our temple.
Mm.
You understand? Took our gold. See this menorah right here? We had a menorah that stood as tall as me in the temple,
Right.
made out of solid gold.
Wow.
And these devils came in here and took it, man. Read on.
Verse 22. And the table of showbread, and the pouring vessels, and the vials, and the censers of gold, and the veil, and the crowns, and the golden ornaments that were before the temple, all which he pulled off.
Go ahead.
Verse 23. He took also the silver and the gold, the precious vessels, and he took the hidden treasures which he found.
Go ahead.
And when he had taken all away, he went into his own land, having made a great massacre and spoken very proudly.
Read that part again.
And when he had taken all away, he went into his own land, having made a great massacre and spoken very proudly.
And spoke very proudly. No different than them devils did when they went on that hunting trip and they killed 700 North American Indians.
Right.
You understand? They killed 700 North American Indians and then came back and thanked God for it.
Wow.
And called it Thanksgiving
Wow.
and commemorated a feast for it.
Wow.
You understand? It's no different than what Esau did. What year was that? What was that? 16 something? Somewhere around in there. You understand? It's no different than that. You understand? We dealing with the same people. You understand? That destroyed us way back then.
Okay.
These devils came into Jerusalem, ransacked the temple, and slaughtered thousands of people.
Okay.
Read on.
Verse 25. Therefore, there was a great mourning in Israel in every place where they were.
You understand? There was a great mourning in Israel. You understand? Can you imagine that? Can you imagine all the sisters that was picking up their husbands' dead bodies? You understand? All the children who both of their parents was killed.
Wow.
You understand? Can you imagine that? You understand? Can you imagine? I don't think none of the Gadites survived in that massacre, that hunting trip. You know, here they said there was great mourning, meaning there was some survivors. You understand? And guess what? They had to pick up the dead bodies of their loved ones. They had to bury their husbands, bury their wives. You understand? Bury their children. Can you imagine that? You understand? After the people that you looked up to, or that you believe would lead you right, then sold you on this whole idea of joining these heathens,
Right.
of making a deal with them, and then they come back and do this after we just made this deal with y'all. We didn't embrace y'all culture. You understand? And that's why we tell so many brothers and sisters, you know, we it's almost like a, you know, I'm not gonna say it's an inside joke. It's more like an inside fact that we say in the UPK about these brothers that have all these white friends, and we see them downtown. We see them downtown when we go to camp, and we'll see them walk by, and they talk proudly against us while they surrounded by these white boys. Don't even know that if the race war was to start tomorrow, they gonna find you. You gonna be the first one dead.
That's right.
You're gonna be the first one dead, and ain't nobody gonna be asking no questions.
Right.
Because you cared more about them devils than you did your own brothers.
Right.
You understand? Read on.
Verse 26. So that the princes and elders mourned, the virgins and young men were made feeble, and the beauty of women were changed.
Go ahead.
Every bridegroom took up lamentation.
You understand? And all of that means is that we were beaten down. You understand? The sisters ain't had nothing to try to get pretty for. They in mourning.
Right.
Can you imagine that? Like, you know what I mean? You in such a depressive state that you ain't doing your hair. You ain't even trying to dress up. You ain't trying to put on your jewelry. Your jewelry got took by the Greeks.
See.
You ain't got nothing. Barely got food to eat. Not only do you barely got food to eat, but you just finished cleaning your husband's dead body. You understand? Can you imagine that? You understand? These people was destroyed after this slaughter, man. Read on.
And every bridegroom took up lamentations, and she that sat in the marriage chamber was in heaviness.
It was in heaviness, depression. You understand? Like almost like what they call it postpartum depression. Imagine that times 100. You done lost your kids, lost your husband, lost your sisters. You understand? Everybody that you consider close is dead.
Wow.
You understand? Read on.
Verse 28. The land was moved. The land also was moved for the inhabitants thereof, and all the house of Jacob was covered with confusion.
Yeah, read on.
And after 2 years fully expired, the king sent the chief collector of tribute unto the cities of Judah, who came into Jerusalem with a great multitude.
You understand? So even after they done destroyed us, demolished us, they sent their bill collectors out.
Oh man.
Go on, collect that money. Go on, get that tribute. You understand? Read on.
Verse 30.
That just goes to show you how cold-hearted these devils are.
God.
You understand? And because you got to think like this is shortening the story. But if you look at what they did to us here in America, it's just as disgusting. You understand? It's just as disgusting. You kidnapped us, put us in slavery, then gonna fake let us off the plantation. You understand? Then gonna have the nerve to lock us up in prison, kill us still in the street, and got the nerve to say, well, we all equal. You understand? We all got equal opportunities. You understand? That's a damn lie, man. You understand? Read on.
And spake peaceable words unto them, but all was deceit.
Read that again.
And spake peaceable words unto them, but all was deceit.
You understand? Think about Joe. What's his name? Joe. I keep wanting to say Joe, but Joe Biden. You understand? Joe Biden, Donald Trump, Barack Obama, George Bush, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton. What's the little heifer name?
Kamala.
You know, it's crazy. I don't even know her name. She was vice president. Kamala Harris. You understand? They spoke all these peaceable things, but what the Bible just say?
And spake peaceable words unto them, but all was deceit.
But all was deceit. You understand? All was deceit. Now keep that in mind next time you Christians go out here to vote for somebody. You understand? Go out here and vote for mayor, vote for city council, vote for governor, vote for president. You understand? You sitting there taking all their words like it's coming out of Jesus' mouth himself. You understand? But it's the same devil that came and destroyed Jerusalem all these years ago. It's the same devil. You understand? And guess what? He spoke peaceable things back then. You think the Greeks was just up front with they murderous intent? You think they was just up front with it? No. The Bible calls him the most subtle beast in the field.
Right.
You understand? You know where we at?
Verse 30.
All right, go ahead and read on.
First Maccabees 1 and 30. And spake peaceable words unto them, for all was deceit. For when they had given him credence, he fell suddenly upon the city, and smote it very sore, and destroyed much people of Israel.
You understand? Because here's the thing. This is the thing about our oppressor, right? When they speak about peace, they're not talking about peace with us.
Right.
You understand? They not taking that ain't the kind of peace they talking about. You understand? When they talk about peace, they ain't talking to us. They talking to each other. You understand? Because in order for them to have peace, they got to destroy their enemies.
Right.
You understand? Guess what? Black man, Hispanic man, Native Indian man. if we are to have peace, then what's got to happen? Our enemies have to be destroyed.
That's right.
You understand? In order for blacks and Hispanics to be free, America has to fall.
That's right.
Damn
You
right.
understand? The whole economy of white supremacy has to fall.
Right.
You understand? And guess what? It ain't gonna fall with you celebrating Thanksgiving.
Right.
Right.
You understand? It ain't gonna fall with you celebrating Christmas. It ain't gonna fall with you celebrating New Year's and Valentine's Day and Easter and all of that. You understand? Read on. Oh, Salaki, read on.
Verse 31. And when he had taken the spoils of the houses and walls thereof on every side. Verse 32. But the women and children took they captive and possessed the cattle.
Read that again.
But the women and children took they captive and possessed the cattle.
Now this right here is giving you a very good detailed instruction on what's going to happen when you join hands with your oppressor. You understand? You know, they love to come up against us and say we hate black women in the UPK. They love to say that. You understand? But guess what? Ain't nobody taking captive no black woman in the UPK.
Right.
You understand? And that ain't gonna happen. You understand? But in the Christian church, they getting taken captive every day. You understand? There was a sister in Texas. What was the sister's name in Texas? The one that got locked up and they found her hung in a cell.
What's the sister name? I said the tip of my tongue.
I can't even think of the sister's
I know who
name.
you talking about. Sandra Bland.
Sandra Bland. Sandra Bland is one of them sisters that was taken captive. You understand? What was the other one? Corinne Gaines. That's a black woman that was taken captive. You understand? And the other sister that was killed in her own home. Breonna Taylor. You understand? Breonna Taylor, that's a sister that was taken captive. You understand? Her children is growing up in foster care. You understand? That is what happens. That is a result of us trying to follow after the other nations and follow after the customs of these Edomites. Because these customs ain't for us.
Right.
They are for our destruction.
That's right.
You understand? Read on.
Verse 33. Then builded they the city of David with a great and strong wall and with mighty towers, and made it a strong hold for them. Verse 34. And they put therein a sinful nation, wicked men, and fortified themselves therein.
You understand? So they took the city of David and turned that into their own fort, their own stronghold. You understand? They set up camp in our city. You understand? Just like how America, what do they do all around the world? They set up military bases in all these different countries. You understand? Ain't that ironically similar to the Greeks? You understand? Ain't that ironically similar? Because we dealing with the same people. You understand? These are the same devils operating in the same fashion. You understand? Read on.
Verse 35. They stored it also with armor and victuals. And when they had gathered together the spoils of Jerusalem, they laid them up there. And so they became a sore snare. Verse 36. For it was a place to lie in wait against the sanctuary, and an evil adversary to Israel.
A what?
An evil adversary to Israel.
So that's what America is. America is that evil adversary to blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. That's what America is. You don't believe me? Ask the Native Indians. Ask the Native Americans. Ask the Hispanics that's locked away at that border right now that they stopped putting on the news. You stop even hearing about it because you don't even hear about it no more. But guess what? There's still Hispanic children locked in cages for months at a time without even seeing their parents right now. You understand? America is an evil adversary to blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians.
Right.
You understand? Read on.
First Baptist view, 1-37. Does they shed innocent blood on every side of the sanctuary?
Now, come on, man. What's black people in the uproar right now for?
Right.
The shedding of innocent blood. Am I wrong? Is that not the same sad story that black people are singing in all these protests for the past 100 years?
Right.
You understand? What is it we've been trying to stop? Innocent bloodshed. You understand? And guess what? This is after they done made this covenant with the white man. After the wicked men that came up and said, let us join with Esau. Let us join these devils and start following after them. Let's go ahead and get with the program. And then after they got with the program, they found out how much of a devil he was. You understand? Because this is after that they went and joined hands with him. They turned around and destroyed us. You understand? It's like a vampire. You know the old vampire lords, they used to say, you know, vampire come to your house, he can't come in unless you invite him in. You understand? That's just like Esau. You know, burn up in the sun. You understand? Drink blood. You understand? They the real vampires on the earth. And guess what? When you try to join hands with them, you inviting that vampire into your house. And when you invite that vampire into your house, what's gonna happen? You understand? He ain't gonna come play Uno. You understand? Read on.
And defiled it, insomuch that the inhabitants of Jerusalem fled because of them, whereupon the city was made an habitation of strangers, and become strange to those that were born in her.
You understand? So these devils came in and made it Greece. They done turned the city of David into Greece. So much so that you go there, it don't even seem like you in Israel no more. It seems like you in Greece. You understand? Just like how when you go to every ghetto in America now, you see Edomites all in the hood now.
Right.
You understand? And you know what's crazy? You know, a lot of these devils are moving to these black neighborhoods, and if you ever notice, there'd be a lot more police phone calls to start happening. You understand? A lot more. You understand? You know what? I be telling people all the time, man, when you start seeing white folks in the hood, man, time to move. Time to get up out of there. Even if you're not doing nothing wrong. They gonna call the law and make something up on you. You understand? I've seen it happen. You understand? Read on.
And her own children left her. Her sanctuary was laid waste like a wilderness. Her feasts were turned into a mourning, her Sabbath into reproach, her honor into contempt. Verse 40. As had been for glory, so was dishonor increased, and the excellency was turned into mourning.
You understand? So these people our people were becoming a destroyed people. You understand? Much like how we become a destroyed people here in America. You understand? What was once our honor is now becoming a reproach in America. You understand? It used to be an honor for a black man to have a beard and braids. Now it's considered, they look at you like you just a madman. You understand? You look like a terrorist. You understand? You know, I remember when I first came into the truth, somebody asked me, said, man, you ain't no terrorist. Like, you understand? It's like, man, this is my manly badge of honor. You mean to tell me my little patchy beard make you think I'm a terrorist? You understand? It's patchy, man. You understand? Read on.
Verse 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people. Verse 42.
Hold on, now that right there is heavy.
Mm-hmm.
He's saying that we should all be one people. After he just did what? Just massacred us, talking about we should be one people. Don't that sound like America?
Yes, sir.
That had you, then killed all the Native Americans, and put you in slavery for 400 years. Gonna say we all in this together. Nah, you in this by yourself. You understand? And we over here, you stay over there.
Right.
You understand? Don't that sound eerily similar to America?
But no, that's why they get the name United States. They
The
want
United States
of
of America.
America.
You understand? The United States of America. And ain't no Negroes united nowhere. We in prison. We on drugs. We dead on the ground. You understand? Go ahead.
And then Amerigo Vespucci, United States of the Edomites.
Right.
That's what they
'Cause
want.
this is their kingdom. This is their heaven. This is their rulership. You understand?
Oh, God.
This is their time to shine.
Wow.
You understand? Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, we need to all come into the UPK
That's right.
and get prepared for our time to shine.
Right.
You understand? Read on.
Verse 42. And everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king.
And read that again.
And everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king.
And see, here's the thing about the law, statutes, and commandments. The law, statutes, and commandments is what makes us powerful. That's what gives us our strength.
That's right.
You understand? That's where the Lord becomes an enemy to our enemies. You understand? So Esau telling you to turn from the laws is our greatest weapon that we have.
Right.
You understand? Because the Lord gonna move when we in the right. The Lord gonna do it. You understand? Like, you keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, and somebody cross you, you almost look at them like, yeesh. I'm gonna stay away from you for a while. I don't even want to hear about it. You understand? Because the Lord become an adversary to your adversaries.
That's right.
You understand? Like I seen some things when I was a trooper that scared I almost cussed, but it scared me. You understand? I'm like, come on, sir. I'm showing up to camp every Saturday, right? Because I know exactly. You know what I mean? I seen a devil try to make a move on me, and then out the blue, the Lord came back with a vengeance on that devil.
Oh,
You
God.
understand? And that I was like, I know that this is the truth that I'm involved with. You
Right.
understand? Read on.
Verse 43. Yea,
And Salaki, if I could. And Esau knows this. He knows that if blacks and Hispanics and Native Indians was to separate from America and join into themselves and become a righteous nation, he knows that it's going to be the end of his empire.
Right.
He knows this. You understand? Read on.
verse 43. Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath. Verse 44. For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land. Verse 45. And forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbath and the festival days.
You understand? So these devils basically made it mandatory to forsake the Most High, to turn their back on the Lord, to turn their back on their own people. They made it mandatory to be disloyal to your own people and be loyal to them.
Right.
You understand? But guess what? Now they don't got to do that. All they got to do is build another Christian church. You understand? Let the Christian pastor do the rest. He gonna definitely do the rest. You understand? They cause now it's like it's so generational at this point. Like what you looking at now in America is like an updated version. You know how when your phone got an update, you get the new updated software on your phone? America is Greek, is the Greek Empire with updated software.
Mm.
You understand? They iOS 1.2. You understand? That's America. You understand? Read on.
Verse 46. And pollute the sanctuary and holy people. Verse 47. Set up altars and groves and chapels of idols, and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts.
And guess what? They ain't gotta make black people do that now. They just did it on Thursday.
Right.
Yeah, willingly. You understand? Went and cut up the ham and what else? What other type of abomination people eat? I done forgot. I ain't ate Thanksgiving food in so long. The only thing I remember is turkey and macaroni.
So like they got every variation of pork you can find.
Good.
They got pork chops, pork knuckles, hog maw, chitlins, pig feet, pig snout, pig everything.
Pig shoulder.
Ham.
Ham hocks. Rump roast. You understand? Is that pig rump roast? Or is that cow? Rump roast. Good man. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody had a whole pig roasted when they table with the apple in their mouth. You understand? Read on.
48, that they shall also leave their children uncircumcised and make their souls abominable with the manner of uncleanness and profanation.
You understand? Guess what? They done got more efficient at that. Now they got it mandatory to send your kids to school. You understand? They was doing that with the Gadites. You know what I'm saying? Like when you look up pictures of Gad after they done whooped up some of the tribes and took over their lands, they was forcing their kids into public school, into these boarding schools. And they was cutting the kids' hair off. You know, they had all the Gadites sitting around with the bowl cuts, with the bow ties on. You understand? And guess what? They taught them social studies and you know what I mean, all of that right there. You know what I mean? Taught them about George Washington and all this, and didn't teach them nothing about Sitting Bull. You understand? Didn't teach them nothing about Gad's history. They destroyed our history and taught us. They polluted one-sided version of history. You understand? Taught them about Christmas. Taught them about Thanksgiving. You understand? Taught them about 4th of July and New Year's and all these other holidays, and made them forsake their own cultures and customs. Just like how when they took black people into slavery, what did they do? They took away our language, took away our culture, took away the way we dress. You understand? Took away all of that. You understand? Read on.
49, to the end they might forget the law and change the ordinance, and whosoever would not according to the commandments of the king, he said he shall die.
You understand? And that right there is proof that the white man is the devil, the Bible says.
That's right. Damn right.
You understand? He make you turn away from the Most High and then kill you if he don't. Like how can you sit here and say that these devils ain't devils? How can you sit here and say, how can you have the audacity to fix your lips to say, what about the white man? You understand? How can you do that? You understand? Knowing the history of how they treated us just here in America. You understand? Don't even know about this history right here that we reading about. This is history. This is real facts written in the Bible.
Oh God.
You understand? They don't make no movies about this. You understand? Read on.
In the self-same manner wrote he to his whole kingdom and appointed overseers.
Now hold on. Let me say something real quick. Let me explain this real quick. Right? Alexander the Great. We just read about him, right? They call him Alexander the Great because he united all the tribes of Edom. All white people were united under his empire, right? So, if the Jews was white, wouldn't they be part of that empire? They not. White people waged war against everybody but white people because they was all together. You understand? So the Greeks versus the of Jerusalem wasn't white on white violence. You understand? That's the same type of violence that happened right here in this land that we call America. That was Greek on Israel violence. You understand? Read on.
And appointed overseers over the people.
Good night. Well, we done heard that term before. Overseer.
That's right.
You understand? Read on. Every black man can relate to that. They put overseers over us. You understand? Even back then, that's what they did, man. Read on.
Commanding the city of Judea to sacrifice city by city. Then many of the people who were gathered unto them, to wit, everyone that forsook the law. And so they committed evil in the land.
You understand? The evils they committed was like they you know, like it says in hold on, read it again. It says, read it again one more time.
Verse 51.
Yeah.
In the self-same manner wrote he to his whole kingdom, and appoint overseers over all the people, commanding the cities of Judea to sacrifice city by city.
So the sacrifices that they were making is they were sacrificing pigs on the Lord's altar.
Mm.
You understand? When the Lord says the pig's flesh is an abomination unto us.
Right.
You understand? Read on.
52.
And guess what? That's no different than what the white man was doing in slavery. You understand? 4th of July come in, here go them chitlins. Here go them pig feet. You understand? Here go them pig skins, man. Y'all, here go some ribs, man. Y'all go ahead and y'all have y'all good old time, man. You understand? That's no different, man. That's no different than when they brought us over here in slavery, right? Like, I never forget this. When I was about maybe 10, 11, 12 years old, I went to, anybody ever been to the Blacks and Wax Museum in DC? You ever seen it? Anybody ever been to the Blacks and Wax Museum? There's a scene set up in the Blacks and Wax Museum. I'll never forget it. When they was bringing us over here, you know, what the general was bringing out was that there were some people that were, they were actually trying to starve to death, right? So on those slave ships, what they had this food that they used to force feed us, right? And what they would do was they would take molasses and they would take pig's fat and they mix it into this mush. And for any of us that refused to eat it, they would knock our teeth out. And you ever see, you know how they got those funnels that you use to put oil in your car? So they had funnels that was maybe this long. And they would shove it in our mouths after they knocked our teeth out. And they would pour that pig's fat and molasses down inside of it to force us to eat it. You understand? That's what they used to do on the slave ships. You understand? So the white man has always had this relationship with the pig and pig's flesh. That's how you know that the Greeks is the same people. You understand? Because you go out here. I knew I was living in the Roman and Greek Empire when I read the story about the Maccabees, and then the next day after I first read the book of Maccabees, I drove down the road and seen a billboard sign that said bacon milkshakes. I'm like, we are definitely living under the Roman Empire. We are most certainly living under the Greeks and the Romans because they put pork in every damn thing. You understand? Some restaurants you go to, you can't even find a meal that don't got bacon or something on it. You understand? It's like you know, for years McDonald's didn't even have bacon. Now they got bacon cheeseburgers and all that. You understand? Even Chick-fil-A got bacon. Like, ain't that something? You know what I mean? Read on.
52. Then many of the people were gathered unto them, to wit, everyone that forsook the law, and so they committed evil in the land. 53. And drove the Israelites into secret places, even wheresoever they could flee for security.
Go ahead.
Now the 15th day of the month, Cassalu in the 145th year, they set up the abomination of desolation upon the altar, and built idol altars throughout the city of Judea on every side.
Go ahead.
55. And the burnt incense at the doors of their houses and the streets. And when they have written in the places the books of the law.
It says in rent in pieces.
Oh, so
Basically like they tore it apart. Go ahead.
Rent in pieces the books of the law which they found, they burnt them with fire.
You understand? That's what Esau been doing since way back in the day.
Right.
Did the same thing to the Gadites. Did the same thing to the natives in Central and South America. You understand? Kind of, sort of did the same thing with black people during slavery. They did that in Afghanistan. You understand? My brother was in the Marines. He actually witnessed firsthand that they was burning books and burning Qurans, and when he was actually in the base where the firefight started because they was burning Qurans. Ended up a fight broke out right there I ain't talking about no fist fight. I'm talking about the gunfights. Broke out right there in the military base between the Afghan forces who had joined with America and the American forces.
Right.
You understand? So America been burning books and burning religious texts. You know, that's just part of the white man repertoire.
Right.
Because he don't want you to worship no God but him. You understand? He don't care. He don't care you believe in Jesus as long as you believe Jesus is a white man. He don't care you believe in Islam and Allah as long as you believe Allah is a white man. You understand? Or Buddha or whatever other religions they are. As long as you know that God is white, you good with the white.
So like even all the way down to Egypt, as long as you believe that Egyptians are white,
Right.
you can believe in whatever you want.
As long as they white, you alright. You understand? Go ahead.
Verse 57. And wheresoever was found with any the book of the testament, or if any consented that they should put him to death.
Now let me ask you a question, right? What is that from? What does that remind you of? Don't that remind you of slavery?
Right.
You understand? Black man was caught reading the Bible. They hang you from a tree, burn your eyes out.
Right.
You understand? Cut your tongue out your mouth. You understand? And here's the fallacy. Right? A lot of people say during slavery they didn't allow us to read, but that ain't true. There's a lot of slaves that can read.
Right.
You understand? Because guess what? In order to build the White House, they would have had to read a blueprint.
Right.
You understand? So they had to be able to read. They had to be able to read to do a lot of the work that they did. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the inventions that black people came up with during slavery. You think they came up with these inventions just putting stuff together? Nah, they was able to draw out blueprints.
Right.
And completely design it from concept to prototype.
That's right.
You understand? It's just the Bible they didn't allow us to read.
Right.
You understand? You had to be authorized to even touch the Bible. You understand? So it's no different than the Greeks. They said if somebody was caught with them scriptures, kill them. You understand? Read on.
Verse 58.
And Salak, if I could. That's why it's so important. That's why, brothers and sisters, man, when you see these classes go live online, you should make every attempt that you can to be in our classes.
That's right.
You understand? You should make every attempt that you can to come to our school and sit down and have a drink with the brothers and learn something. And learn the Bible. Learn this history that your Christian pastor don't even know about.
That's right.
I asked the pastor one time about the Maccabees. He was like, the Macca what? The Maccabees, pastor. You ain't never heard of them? You understand? That's when I knew that I was in the wrong place. Like, these Israelites are on to something. You understand? Read on.
Verse 58. Thus did they by their authority unto the Israelites every month, to as many as were found in the cities. 59. Now the 25th day of the month, they did sacrifice upon the idol altar, which was upon the altar of God.
Go ahead.
Verse 60. At which time, according to the commandment, they put to death certain women that had caused their children to be circumcised.
Read that again.
At which time, according to the commandment, they put to death certain women that had caused their children to be circumcised.
Now these women right here was righteous. These women right here was UPK.
Right.
You understand? Because they knew the risk. They knew what was at risk for teaching their children the truth.
Right.
You understand? They knew what was at risk. You understand? And they deserved that honor. That's an honorable thing that they did, man. You understand? Even though it cost them their life, I would rather lose my life serving the Most High than live a long, happy life being a sellout, such and such.
That's right.
You understand? Read on.
Verse 61. And they hanged the infants about their necks, and rifled their houses, and slew them that had circumcised them. 62.
Listen to that, man. Listen to this. I'm gonna say it again. Our oppressor is the goddamn devil.
That's right.
You understand? He did, like, it's so many stories about our oppressor murdering our children.
Right.
Who murders an infant? Who does, just for simply learning something? You understand? Who murders an infant, man? You got to be a monstrous beast to hang an infant from a tree.
Right.
To hang an infant? You understand? An infant. Like, I can't even listen, man. These devils, man, they was taking, listen, during the Trail of Tears, right? Even, and it's not just the Trail of Tears. There was many instances of this happening. But during the Trail of Tears specifically, there were so many stories about sisters who might not have been able to keep up, and these devils would take their children from them and smash their children up against a rock so hard that their heads would bust open.
Right.
You understand? Can you imagine that? Seeing your little baby that you gave birth to, you understand, get picked up like a grocery bag and busted on a rock like a water balloon. You understand? Watching your precious little baby. You understand? That's going to continue to happen. That happened to Tamir Rice. Tamir Rice was a little baby. Even though he was, 12, 13 years old, that was a baby, man. Cop pulled up and not even 2 seconds after hopping out the car, gunned that child down. Trayvon Martin was a baby. You understand? And he got killed walking home in his own neighborhood. And it wasn't even the police. It was neighborhood watch.
Vigilante. That's right.
Go ahead.
Like this heathen vigilante.
A heathen vigilante, this devil thought he was Batman. Thought he done ran up on the Joker.
Like he had no more rank than the damn mall cop.
And the mall cap got more authority than him. He the neighborhood watch. And then he was told by the police to stand down. You understand? Like I said, I'm gonna say it again. These are the results that we're reading about of what happens when you join the other nations. specifically the white man.
Right.
Wow.
You understand? Read on.
Verse 62. Howbeit, many in Israel were fully resolved and confirmed in themselves not to eat any unclean thing.
Go ahead.
63. Wherefore they chose rather to die, that they might not be defiled with meat, and that they might not profane the holy covenant. So then they died. Verse 64. There was very great wrath upon Israel.
You understand? That great wrath was brought on Israel for the small portion of brothers and sisters who chose to stand for the Most High.
Right.
You understand? That would be the equivalent of America going to full out war with black people in the streets because of the existence of the ISUPK.
Right.
You understand? All right, read on. Now this is, we're getting into my favorite part of the Bible. You know, so like, I love many stories in the Bible, but this one right here is my favorite. You
Right.
understand? Read on.
First Maccabees chapter 2, verse 1. In those days arose Matthias, the son of John, the son of Simeon, a priest of the sons of Joarib,
Joyride.
from Jerusalem, and dwelt in Modin. Verse 2, he had 5 sons. Jonan, called Cadiz. Verse 3, Simon, called Thesai. 4, Judas, who was called Maccabeus. Verse 5, Eleazar, called Abiram, and Jonathan, whose surname was Appius. Verse 6, and when he saw the blasphemies that were committed in Judah and Jerusalem, verse 7, he said, woe is me, wherefore was I born to see this misery of my people and of the holy city, and to dwell there,
You
when
understand?
it was delivered into the
Mattathias, you understand, was a righteous man. You understand? He was one of them brothers that stood with the Lord.
Right.
You understand? Even in the midst of all of this, you understand? He had compassion for his people. Even though a lot of them turned their back on the Most High.
Right.
He had compassion on them because he seen the destruction that was going on. He seen how much our people were destroyed because of this whole deal that we made with the Greeks that backfired tremendously on us. You understand? Read on.
And the sanctuary into the hand of the strangers. Verse 8, her temple is become as a man without glory.
He said her temple has become as a man without glory.
Right.
You understand? It's become nothing but a abandoned building. You understand? You know how you drive through some neighborhoods, you see these big old buildings, used to be glorious nightclubs or something like that. And now the roof caving in, the animals living in there. You understand? Smell like piss
That's right.
and feces.
Yeah.
You understand? That's what Mattathias, who stands so firm with the Lord, is seeing the destruction of his people, man, and the destruction of the Lord's temple. Read on.
Verse 9, her glorious vessels are carried away into captivity. Her infants are slain in the streets. Her young men with the sword of the enemy. Verse 10, what nation hath not had a part in her kingdom and gotten of her spoils?
Go ahead.
Verse 11, all her ornaments are taken away. Of a tree of a free woman she has become a bond slave. Verse 12, and behold, our sanctuary, even our beauty and our glory is laid waste, and the Gentiles have profaned it.
And that's right there is going on right now. Blacks and Hispanics and Native Indians, our sanctuary is laid waste. You understand? And it would say, even our beauty and our glory is laid waste. You understand? Like, I mean, I hate for the day that I have a daughter and I send my little baby girl to school with her beautiful afro hanging out, and the school send her back home. You understand? My daughter will be right back at school the next day with that same beautiful afro. You understand? And I'm telling you, that they send her home again, then I'm going up there with some brothers.
Right.
You understand? Because I ain't gonna tell my daughter that her hair ain't beautiful. You understand? I'll be damned. You understand? Our beauty is laid waste in America. You understand? Sisters would rather hide their own beautiful hair and put on a blonde lace front. You understand? I call them hair hats. You understand? They put on them hair hats and try to hide their own beauty to try to look more presentable or more closer to what the world calls beautiful. You understand? Try to, have them spider web hair wigs, man. Them things ain't pretty, ain't cute. You understand? Go ahead.
No, kind of like I say, the children of Gad, when you mentioned earlier before, when they shaved the heads off the children, they didn't discriminate. They did men, boys, and girls like that.
Right.
And the girls, wasn't even allowed to grow their hair. They shaved them, put on these uniforms. That's what the devil did.
Yeah.
I mean, they're like as if to say, it was degradation
Right.
to the tribe. They had their own reasons for growing their hair the way they did, and they just shaved them all off the same way. And when I looked at a picture, I couldn't tell the difference between a boy and a girl. I mean, when you think about it, you have to look real close. Oh, okay, that must be a girl there.
Right.
So,
And even so far as the what they call the Tion laws. You understand? Where they actually pass laws for black women to cover their heads during slavery. You understand? You see those pictures where the sisters wore those bonnets during slavery? The reason why they wore those bonnets is because during slavery, these sisters are slaves, living in shacks no bigger than these devils' bedrooms. You understand? And they show up to work on that plantation looking like God's chosen princesses. Because they used to come to work with their hair braided and all these beautiful designs, and they actually used to put flowers in their braids and would have flowers in their little buns and all that. You understand? And that's how they would show up to work on the plantations. And them Edomite devils would look at her like, oh, hell no. My husband down there, no wonder he's spending so many nights down there in the slave quarter. You need to make them niggers cover them heads up. And that's when they passed the Tion laws. Because these was black women in the most poorest and destroyed condition, and still were far more beautiful than the white woman.
That's right.
So much so that they had to pass a law to get you to cover it up. You understand? Read on.
Verse 13. To what end, therefore, shall we live any longer? 14. Then Matthias and his sons rent their clothes and put on sackcloth and mourn very sore.
You understand? It really hurt these brothers to see this condition going on. You understand? Much like it hurts the brothers in the ISUPK to see the destruction that happened. It's happening all across the globe to blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. You understand? They ask us, why are we so angry? Why are we so aggressive? Why are we so this and so that? Because we feel the same thing that Mattathias felt. You understand? That's why we're so angry and we're so aggressive. You understand? That's why we're so firm. And when you see us at camp, we're so disciplined and so militant. It's because we mourn for our people.
That's right.
You understand? The same people that come up against us and say, well, what about the white man? You understand? We mourn because he's so destroyed that instead of him understanding that we are angry because we're destroyed, you understand? He cares so little about his own people that all he cares about is his oppressor. You understand? And we mourn for that reason, the same way Mattathias did. Read on.
Verse 15. In the meanwhile, the king's officers, such as compelled the people to revolt, came into the city motive to make them sacrifice. Verse 16. And when many of Israel came into them, Matthias also and his sons came together. Verse 17. Then answered the king's officers and said to Matthias on this wise, Thou art a ruler and an honorable and great man in this city, and strengthened with sons and brethren.
Mattathias was a very highly respected man. You understand? He was like I guess you would consider him like to be the HNIC. You understand? Everybody looked up to Mattathias. You understand? Because he was probably like the most influential. You understand? One of the strongest brothers, most powerful brothers in the town. You understand? Everybody looked up to Mattathias. You understand? And so, you understand? So hold on. Am I getting ahead of myself? So yeah, go ahead and read on. Yeah, I was about to get ahead of myself. Go ahead and read the next verse.
Okay. Verse 18. Now therefore, come thou first and fulfill the king's commandment, like as all the heathen have done. Yeah, and the men of Judah also, and such as remain at Jerusalem.
And so the reason why they came to Mattathias is because he was so influential. You understand? Almost like how during slavery they had what they call breaking the buck, where they would take the biggest and strongest and they would break them in front of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? So they was trying to say, oh, we get Mattathias to do it, everybody gonna get it.
Right.
You understand? Like, I'm trying to think of a good example of that. Like Colin Kaepernick.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when Colin Kaepernick, they was trying to get him to stop taking a knee. You know what I mean? Because a lot of athletes started taking a knee after that.
Right.
You understand? But all them athletes, they still got jobs. But Colin Kaepernick, for some reason, they really wanted him to stop.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? If Colin Kaepernick would have stopped, then, wouldn't nobody cared. Wouldn't nobody even gave a damn.
Right.
You understand? It's the same reason they came to Mattathias. Mattathias got influence. Let's go to Mattathias and be like, yada, yada, yada. Let's get you to do this. Almost like how the equivalent of Nike going to Michael Jordan being like, go ahead and wear these Nikes, man. Everybody look up to Mike. Everybody want to be like Mike. Mike wear Nikes. Everybody else gonna wear Nikes.
Right.
You understand? So it's no different than that concept. Read on.
So shalt thou, and thy house be in the number of the king's friends, and thou and thy children shall be honored with silver and gold and many rewards.
So the king came to Mattathias and was like, go ahead and get down with the program, man. You know what I mean? Why don't you and all your sons just come on down, make the quick little sacrifice, man. And, we're gonna go ahead and look out for you, man. We're gonna throw you this check. Make sure y'all lace, make sure you get your gold and your silver, man. Y'all gonna be good, y'all gonna be straight, man. Just a little quick little slit. And you good to go. You understand? Read on.
Verse 19. Then Mattathias answered and spake with a loud voice.
This right here is a famous quote in the UPK that we're about to read about. You understand? Read on.
Though all the nations that are under the king's dominion obey him and fall away every one from the religion of their fathers, and give consent to his commandments.
So he says, though all the nations forsake their God and raise religions and turn to y'all and bow down and do what y'all say, he said, although they did that, read on.
Yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the covenant of our fathers.
Let's give a hand to Malachi. He said, even though the other nations did this, even though Eddie Long loved a white man, even though T.D. Jakes wants to join America, even though Al Sharpton did all that, even though who else? Well, I'm trying to think of another. Even though Michael Jordan don't give a damn about black people, you understand? Creflo Dollar, even though they all about Thanksgiving and all that, you understand? Me and my brother and my children is gonna stand with the Lord.
That's right.
You
Yeah,
understand?
man.
Read on.
Verse 21. God forbid that we should forsake the law and the ordinances. 22. We will not hearken to the king's words to go from our religion, either on the right hand or the left.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. You understand? Hopefully we can carry on this lesson, you understand, throughout these next couple of days, because we definitely need to get into the whole story. You understand? But this right here is getting into what happened in Israel when the Greeks pressed Mattathias to turn against the Lord. Mattathias became that lightning rod that Israel needed, and it led Israel to victory in war against the Greeks. And they took everything back that was taken out of that temple and made the temple more glorious and beautiful than it was before. You understand? With that, I'm gonna pass the class over to Precinct Officer Kazasha.
There you go. Hey, be careful with the wires. I don't want you coming tumbling down. There you go.
I'll read the security announcements. We're the ICBK Short off 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Room for the new brother. When a new brother or sister comes to school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves with the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to the brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6 month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment, Numbers 18:21, Malachi 3:8-10, means tenth in the Hebrew and Ma'ashara. 10% of every penny of any increase the Most High gives you. Give to the Treasury Department or teacher. The priest fund, the free will offering for the priest. It's not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like. The Holy Convocation. We just got finished doing the Feast of Dedication of Hanukkah. Glorious day. Our next feast is going to be Purim. 14th day, 15th day of the 12th month. Monday the 14th February and Tuesday the 15th February 20 and 22. Esther 9, 20, and 21. We're going to remind Akim and Akwaf to check the bulletin board in the hallway if anyone wants to be a trooper in the school to start wearing all black boots, shoes, pants, headbands, and scarf. We're going to give a courtesy salute. We're going to give a salute to our brothers. Majab. Shabbat. Majab. Barak. How about Shem Yahweh Shai Barak? give a courteous salute to our sisters. Turn and face the sisters. Amajim. Mom Shabbat. Amajim. Barak. How Shemal Atah Hashem Yahushua. With that we say, Yazamatah,
Dismiss.
dismiss.